So, the topic of today is 3 ways to hack your subconscious. And I have to give a disclaimer first and foremost that I am not a neuroscientist. I am not well studied in the arena of neuroscience, but these are some techniques and methods that I've implemented in my own life that have had dramatic results. And so the amount that you get out from these activities is massive compared to what you put in. So not a lot in and potentially massive results on the other side. And so that's why I will not stop talking about these techniques because the potential for these to change your life with no cost, with very minimal investment in terms of time is enormous. And so I encourage everyone to try these things. And so, first off, is taking a very close look at your nighttime and your morning routines. When you're going to bed at night, and also when you're waking up, your brain is in a different state. It is much more malleable, it's much more susceptible to influence. And it actually has to do with the transition of your brain between brain waves. When you're sleeping, your brain is moving in a delta wave pattern. And when you wake up for a limited period of time, it is in a theta wave pattern. And so before it goes into your normal day-to-day brain activity, which is beta waves, you have this limited window of time where your brain is really focused on congealing the memories and the learning that you went through over the past day and the past night. Because a lot of the memory formation, short-term and long-term memory, becomes solidified in your mind during the nighttime. And so that's why it's so important, sleep and getting a healthy amount of REM sleep is massive for, incorporating those things into your long-term memory and just generally solidifying what you learned the past day. And even more so is what you actively have control over. When you're sleeping, obviously you don't have control over how light or deeply you're sleeping. There's things you can do to improve your sleep, of course. What I'm talking about are the windows of time before you go to sleep and right after you wake up. What you do in those windows, which is, maybe a 30-minute to 1 hour window, is so essential. And what I like to do is what I've been doing actually as a part of this is sleep meditation. So right before you go to bed, you can do a meditation. I like to do them guided because they're very focused on setting an intention for the meditation. Some meditations are actually about clearing your mind, right? You want to be mindless. You don't want to be thinking about anything. And other meditations are more intentional. They have a clear purpose and you're trying to get something out of them. And so, sleep meditation right before you go to bed, I like to do a guided meditation. I follow Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm not sure if anybody else has heard about him. He's really, really big in this topic, in the topic of sleep meditation and manifestation and these kind of things. And so, if you do a guided meditation during that time, it really focuses your mind on reaching certain targets, that you can write on paper and you can work on throughout your day, you can take action towards. But as I mentioned, when you're sleeping, these things are all coming together. It's all congealing, all the practices that you worked on throughout the day and the learning that happened, the conversations, everything comes together. And so you want to be in the right frame of mind before you enter that light and then deep sleep and REM sleep throughout the night, throughout your sleep cycle. And so I recommend trying these out a couple times per week, right before you go to bed. You're in that sort of in between state. You're in between consciousness and unconsciousness, and this is when your subconscious is very vulnerable for you to affect it with certain materials, certain types of content or goals or targets that you want to really be there and be present throughout your waking moments. So that window of time, it's essential. I like to do the sleep meditation right before I go to bed. I like to do them guided. You can find Joe Dispenza on YouTube and find some really good sleep meditations. They're about 10 to 15 minutes. They're very calming. And they also, it kind of like hypnotizes you in some way because it's very repetitive and it's focusing on certain concepts over and over and over again that slowly start to seep in to your mind before you go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, this is still part of number one, by the way. This might be a long episode. When you wake up, your morning routine is essential. It's, for me, it's the most important part of the day. And I talked about this on one of my past episodes, the 3 things that you can do to improve your life today. and one of them is morning walks. And so when I wake up, I do not grab my phone. Like I started wearing a Fitbit recently. I have my alarm on here and I don't even look at my phone for the at least 30 minutes. I go outside, first thing, go outside, get some sunlight in your eyes, go for a walk. All right. When you're walking, you're still in that state of mind that's in between your subconscious and your consciousness. Okay. And your conscious awareness. And during that time period, you can really experience vividly everything that is sort of solidified throughout your night's sleep. So you start to think about things without really even focusing on them. And a lot of, in my experience, a lot of aha moments or intuitions have come up in these morning walks. And you can't really think your way to these moments, right? Throughout your daily life. You can't just say, okay, I want a moment of brilliance to come to me. Like that's not going to happen. And these morning walks have allowed those to come up very naturally and have allowed some of those thoughts to spill over from my dream state, I'm pretty sure, into my waking state. And so take advantage of those moments, man. That's 30 minutes of your day that you can really hack your subconscious. You can hack your mind by feeding it good material, feeding it something healthy, giving it a dose of nature, being outside, going to a park, going for a walk, moving your body. You can read, you can write. Um, some types of music are really good as well. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can take advantage of that window of time when your brain is still very malleable. And I encourage people to try and take advantage of that more often. I've really noticed the benefits. All right, number two on the list, ways to hack your subconscious. The second on the list is use of music to improve your focus, right? This is so you've gone through your day and night, right? You've taken advantage of those time periods where your brain is malleable. And now you're in your present moment. You're working, you're working out, you're doing your daily things, your hobbies, your activities, whatever. And during this time period, if you want to get the most out of what you're doing, there is scientific proof that certain types of music can improve your focus and can improve your ability to form memories and learn better. And so there's a number of studies on this too. And I'm sure people have heard about, the benefits of classical music and playing classical music for your babies when they're young. And what I've started to do is I use lo-fi. I'm sure people have used lo-fi, but I thought this was kind of like maybe hocus pocus, people saying that lo-fi is good for studying, even though it's not really backed by anything. But I found a study recently, and I'll share this in the caption for this video. But I found a study recently that actually looked at the differences between lo-fi music and classical music, and they subjected a number of students to different tests and compared the results between lo-fi, classical, and no music. And out of these results, it was actually found that lo-fi music ranked highly, almost as high as classical music. So it's not necessarily as beneficial as classical music was for learning and for test taking and for performance, but it was damn near better, damn sure better than silence. So when you're thinking about your day-to-day activities and how you can get more out of them, whether you're working on a project, whether you're studying, whether you're um, working out, how you can create a better mind body connection in those moments. Consider lo-fi music. Consider trying to incorporate music into your routines. I've found myself being much more inspired in the moment when I'm doing those things. And then also when I look back on them and I'm trying to recall what I learned or recall that lesson from those moments, it's much easier if I've been exposed to music during that time. So those are huge things that you can try and you can implement in your life today. The third technique that you can use to hack your subconscious is called 478 breathing. Okay, this is a breathing technique that typically you want to use when life feels like it's just too much. The walls are closing in around you, you're stressed out, there's deadlines to meet, there's places to be, there's people to see, and it all just feels like everything's crumbling, right? And so we all come across these moments, some more than others. But 478 breathing is a technique that you can use to dramatically lower your stress levels and generally calm your nervous system down to a point where you can think clearly. And so how it goes is you take a breath in for 4 seconds, you hold for 7 seconds, You exhale out of your mouth for 8 seconds, and you repeat typically on a cycle of 3 or 4 times. And so whenever you're coming across these moments and you're stressed out, everything is collapsing around you, try the 4-7-8 technique. Try it out. Do 4 cycles of it, and you'll experience a dramatically different frame of mind afterwards. And there's a lot of info out there on breath work and how breath work can actually stimulate uh, different modes of consciousness. But this is not focused on getting you out of your body, creating an out of body experience or anything like that. It's really focused on stabilizing your mind and doing it in a quick way, doing it in a way that you can implement like that. You can do it throughout your daily routine. You don't need to necessarily even leave your desk. You can do it 4-7-8, 4 cycles, and then you can get right back into it. And you're going to be much calmer. You're going to find yourself much more relaxed and more present with whatever it is that you're doing.